Just bounce to this.
Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is Brandon Clements, and in today's tutorial we're going to take a look at rendering out the Captain America shield that we have made in Mesh Fusion in Modo 901. And I decided to go ahead and just do an Octane tutorial since we've been using that for most of our projects here at Glasshand. And it'd be a cool way to go ahead and unwrap it here and start making materials and make a pretty cool image, something similar to this. So this is just a kind of a quick Google image that I went ahead and searched, and not the materials are going to make it as dirty or as rough as this, but the same kind of look in terms of lighting. So yeah, let's go ahead and start on our project. So one thing before we start, I'm glad that this information is available on the web. We can see that his shield is 2.5 feet in diameter, so I went ahead and converted that into centimeters so that our scene is to scale roughly, and that's going to help us a lot when we go ahead and set up lights. The first thing we need to do is kind of come in here. I grouped all this stuff together. It'd be nice to know what most of these items are. So this is the screws, and this is the let's see, what are these? Well, that's the screws, and this, oh, we need to actually get these two guys together. So I'm going to select both of those, right click and say connect objects and delete, and then we're going to go ahead and optimize that so you can see it connected them up. Great. And then this is going to be the shield surface. Cool. Shield surface, and then this next portion is, well, oh, the bottom of the screws. Cool. Alright, don't need you guys. So looks like we're ready to go ahead and start UVing. So we're going to take the shield surface and we're going to go ahead and switch to our body paint UV edit tab, and we're going to select all of these guys in polygon mode and then go to UV polygons, and you can see that we don't have anything here. We do not have an actual UV tag. So what I'm going to do is just copy this. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and just drag it onto the shield surface now, and you can see that everything's kind of messed up over here in this window. No worries, we can just select that tag. Okay, and now we have all those selected, and we're going to go and we're going to say projection, and we're just kind of going to project this from the top. So I'll go into my top view, and you can see it's pretty slow because I got a lot of polygons in the shield itself. It's very dense, and I'm going to go ahead and just project this frontal, and then fit UV to canvas after that, after we project it. Alright, so that should work pretty well for us. Now we're back in the startup, and let's go ahead and start building some shaders for the shield. So I'm going to take a look at my reference over here on my secondary monitor, and it looks like we can get away with one, two, three, about 4 different materials. Okay, so I'm going to create an Octane shader, then just copy this 4 times. Okay, and we'll name this one blue metal, red metal. We'll call this white, and then we'll say star, because the star will probably have a different material on the center of it. Make it a little bit dirtier. Okay, and then we need to go ahead and make selection tags for everything. The screws, they can just have the star material. Oh, and you can see that I deleted the center of those screws. So real quick, I'm just going to hit MD to fill and just fill those up. Okay, that'll do. Shield surface. And then we need to create some selections for the star and for the blue Okay, so I'll go through and just kind of select the star shape real quick. And then we can go back with the live selection and just paint out what we don't want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do all that work and make some tags, and then we'll be back. Okay, so that was just the worst to have to go through and do that. So how I did it was we did the lasso selection from the top view. I went down, did a rectangular selection, and deselected everything on the front and the side views, and then went through and deselected with the paint, with the live paint or live selection. So I just figured out an easy way to go ahead and start doing selection sets on this shield. You just double click. That's it. That's all you have to do. And last night I spent so much time going through and painting all that stuff. So there you go. You can always double click and select different islands that aren't actually merged together in Cinema. And in most applications you can do that. But I went through and hand painted everything last night, so the joke's on me. And let's go ahead and just change the colors. So this is red. We'll make this red. And we'll make this blue just real quick, just so we can see where we're at. Okay, sweet. So it's now updated, and then we can select all of these tags, and then we can say, one more time, okay, select polygons, and then we'll go up to our select and we'll invert, and then this will be red. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's get over that, and let's make a new shader for the floor. Okay, we'll apply that, and we'll call this floor. And pretty much everything in this scene is going to be very reflective. Okay, so we'll make the diffuse pretty dark, and we'll change this to glossy because we kind of want to make the floor look a little wet maybe. Alright, and I just uncheck things that I don't need just for organization's sake. And okay, looks pretty good. We'll make this kind of rough. Make it kind of rough, and then we'll add a texture. Add an image texture. Alright, so I've collected kind of different textures along the way, and this works really well. I'm sure you guys could find this online somewhere. It's actually from Grant Warwick, from his stuff, and if you haven't looked at any Grant Warwick stuff, it's awesome. But I'm gonna go ahead and maybe pipe this up, maybe pipe it down, actually maybe not so high, and yeah, I want this to be super shiny in places and then super rough in other places, so we can kind of maybe bring this down and then make subtle changes to it, maybe something along the lines of that, and then we can copy this, see how we look now. Okay, so it's super rough on that floor. Alright, and then we'll probably have to make repetitions on this, but we can do that later once we get into start testing this with our live viewer. And then we have like this brush metal look that we need to kind of get going on this. So I have an image that I just downloaded online, and let's see if we can find it. Go ahead and plug it in. Again, we need to make all of these materials glossy. I'll just do that real quick. And so for the blue, and again this is metal, so we need to make this dark, make this kind of dark blue, and then we'll go into the reflection in the specular, and we'll change how this looks. Okay, so we'll choose a screen color, and I'm just going to actually use my reference to choose a color from, something that I like, something that looks good to me. So you can see it changing up there. We need something light blue. Okay, cool. And we'll do that to the red. We'll bump that up. Something like that. And then our index, because it's metal, we can go to like 3 or 4. We'll try 3. I think that should work pretty well for us. And then the white, again, the diffuse, there's hardly any diffuse color. You know, for metals, they're so shiny that you just tint the reflection amount and you should get a pretty good looking metal look to it. Okay, so maybe we'll kind of go into the bluish realm. And then we'll go to the diffuse, and again, we're making that pretty dark. Great, and now we just need to add some of our brushed metal look to it, okay? So, let's go ahead and bring up our live viewer window, okay? We'll go ahead, we can dock this here to the side, and then bring up the live window. We can dock that maybe below, something like that. We're going to be using path tracing. I've used those in most of our tutorials, and probably will continue to use path tracing just because it's really, really nice. No specular, because we have no refractive materials. And then I'm just going to guess on some of these right here, and we can tweak later as we go. This is just based on numbers that I know have worked for me in the past, but of course every scene is different. So we can tweak as we go along, and I'll set my priority of my cards, my 3 graphics cards, I'll set it to low, just so I can get an idea of what we're doing. And then we'll come ahead and make a camera. We'll also make an HDR environment, and that should be good. Okay, let's kind of frame our camera up. We can go into our actual window, and if we go to view, we start looking at the border opacity, we can kind of crank that up so we know what's in frame and what's not in frame as we render our image, which helps a lot. And maybe, just to frame this up, we change our focal length of our camera. We use a different lens. Probably going to go with a 55. I usually leave it around I usually always kind of favorite that focal length. Okay, maybe something like that for our composition. Cool. And let's go ahead and send this to Octane. You can actually add a protection tag to your camera so that it won't move if you like that view. And we'll send it. And we actually need to provide an HDR. I'm going to maximize HDRs. Let's see what we like out of his free pack. Let's see. A lot of these are nice and bright, really good for product shots. I think this last one right here, I'm going to use the loft, okay, to actually light the scene with. And then we'll resend all that stuff back to Octane. Alright, and this will be good just for some reflection. I raised the power and then lowered it in the actual sky so we get a little bit of reflection. And as we said before, the floor, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change how big the scale is. So, I don't know, let's try 0.3, 0.3 by 0.3. And it looks to be a little small. Oh. No, actually it's not bad. Okay, 0.3. Let's try that. And the next one we'll go to UV transform. 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Okay, and then let's add some lights to our scene. So I like using the targeted area light. It works really, really well. And, you know, the target's always pretty good there in the center. And then if I can just switch this over. I would still like to actually make another panel, but we'll make do with what we have. We'll just say 60. kind of move that up and over. Then we'll jump back into our camera. And as you can see, it's super reflective on our shield. So if we go and start changing some settings here, our roughness is kind of the cause of that. So if we can bring this guy down, something like that, and we'll do that for all of our other stuff. Okay, cool. So you can start to see it's coming through, and then our light, we turn the power of it down. Okay, so let's add our brush metal look. So we'll go into specular. We'll add an image. Okay, so here's our radial brush. We'll bring that in. And you can see right away, this is definitely livening up our scene. So I'm going to create another camera. Just one that we can play around with. And there we go. Raising this gamma is starting to help a lot. So I like to play with these two sliders once I bring things into Octane. If I need to edit like contrast or things like that, I kind of hate to bring it into Photoshop just to do a simple brightening. So that's looking pretty good. We can go into our index and see what a higher refractive value is going to do for us. And I know this is starting to look pretty bright, but we have a lot of textures that are controlling, you know, how bright we can actually get. So it may be weird to go into your index of refraction and put something so high, but when you have value textures that are actually driving a lot of stuff, it kind of makes sense. But it's still, yeah, it could be a little weird. We can lower the intensity of this, and then we can play with our slider a little bit. So we're kind of mixing the two to get something that we like. So maybe something like that. So we're looking pretty good on our star. We can also start mixing this. So we can go to Cinema 4D Octane, and then let's go to Mix Texture, which is here. And then we have another guy down here. We'll load in an image texture for that. We can use our grime again, and then we get something really pretty cool. Then we can go into our UV transforms and scale it down a little bit. So maybe you just want to kind of damage it a little bit, you know, because I'm pretty sure Captain America uses his shield in almost every fight. So awesome, looking good. We can come back and make tweaks later. Let's go ahead and push forward. We'll go and we can start copying some of our work over for the radial. So we'll copy the channel. We'll paste it into blue channel. Okay, let's do that for the red as well, just really quick to get things going. And for the white. We could even try doing this in the bump too, so why not? See what it looks like. Looking pretty cool. Okay, so you can see we're kind of off center a little bit, so we can go into our UV transforms and we can start repositioning the X. Okay, let's move on. We can get it better after we make some changes and some tweaks. And you can go ahead and you can copy and paste these values as well. So you can just copy the other one and then paste it, and it makes things a little easier. And let's actually try our method of getting some grime on this. So with the mixed texture, we're going to copy this over for the white. Okay, and then for the red, now for the red, we can come in and we can actually make both of these, we can come in and say multiply. Drag this to the bottom to copy it. Then we can say Octane, and we'll say RGB spectrum, and we can make this red. We'll copy this. We'll say multiply again. And then we'll paste. Okay, so we can get that back through and still have some pretty nice looking grime as we slide this up and down. Pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead and take this whole channel and copy this again, and then we'll paste it into the blue. And of course we'll come in and change this to blue. Okay, cool. And then of course, like, our colors are super saturated, and I'm just going to go ahead and bump some of these down. And the vibrance, of course, will actually kind of choose a color. I'll do my choose screen color again. We can actually click on here and say show quick storage, and then we can put those in there, which is awesome, because we need to jump over and throw that in there. Okay, cool. And we'll do it for the red as well, because the red is really red. Super, super red. Again, I'll choose a screen color. Maybe somewhere around here. I'll quick store it, and then jump on over to the next. Oops, we'll jump on over to the next. And select that. Okay, awesome. The next thing we need to do is probably tweak some of our lighting. So let's jump into another view. So we can come over here and go to perspective, and let's start manipulating our lights. And I don't really like to see my cameras in my scene, so I'm going to hide those. And I need to move this light around. Let's think about this in a practical way. I hardly ever settle on having a light that's just straight overhead. So let's think about this and see how we would actually light this. Maybe the source is a flashlight laying on the ground, you know, because we want this to look all gritty and mysterious. So let's make this source small. Okay, like super small. And then we'll put it towards the ground, maybe. Something like this. We could also change the shape of it to a disc. Okay, and then we'll come in and crank the intensity up, the power. And maybe bring the temperature down. Cool. Okay, let's try maybe 4200. And then we'll create another Octane targeted area light. We'll kind of put this off in the distance back here. We'll say maybe this is a window light. Okay, so let's make this like really blue and bring the power of it down. So this is like a weird basement or something, I don't know. Use your imagination. Basement. Maybe someplace that he's fighting in, who knows. Whatever. We'll bring this up, maybe. have it shine there on the star. It looks kind of cool. Right there on the center, nice and bright. Maybe we can bring this down to 3 or so. And again, super blue. But it's providing some nice contrast over here with this kind of orange type of light. Okay, what else can we do? The floor is not what I want the floor to look like. The floor needs to be really dark. And I'm not getting dark as much as I want. Okay, so let's see if we can go into the roughness. Yeah, and bring that down so it's mixing the two together. It looks pretty wet in this basement. We'll bring the power up maybe. Let's see. Mess around with the gamma. Okay, we're getting a pretty dark looking floor. It's looking all gritty. Looking pretty nice. Let's see. Can we overdrive? Nope, we can't. We can't overdrive those amounts, which is fine, because we can just keep messing with other things here. So let's see what this looks like at 8. Okay, looking pretty good. Now our diffuse amount, let's see if it looks like darker. Yes, looking better, Index of refraction. We can leave that at like 1.6 or so. Then I kind of like the roughness to be a little bit lower. Okay, that's working pretty well for our composition. Let's also maybe add one more light. Or we could probably mess with our environment light. Now I'm kind of using the environment light as an overall fill, as you can see as I'm kind of pulling this up. Maybe rotate the Y a little bit to get some more reflections. Yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. And let's add a small light, a really tiny type of light. We'll go into the targeted area light again. I like using these guys. Let's do something super small. Let's do 8. Right, 8. We're going to change it to a, let's see, a sphere. I'll bring this to 8 again. We'll kind of move this down. And of course the power is way too strong for what I need. You can see it showing up right there. Nice kind of gleam of light. So I want it to kind of fall somewhere along there. Okay, and then we can adjust it. I'm still not happy with the size of it. Okay, awesome. And then maybe we can take this and duplicate it. So I'm going to use my world transforms and just duplicate it maybe over here. Okay, so I'm just kind of having fun with positioning this. Alright, and then of course it's visible. So we don't want it visible to the camera. And then we can tweak our white metal, make it a little more shiny. just a little bit. So something like that will do. Okay. So I kind of use the lights to paint the object up and to make it look kind of different. And you can see my really sloppy material selection and tags and stuff don't look too bad because it just looks like chipped paint in a way. So I kind of got lucky on that. And looks like I could tweak my red color a little bit because the bump is pretty strong, it looks like. Yeah, it's actually pretty strong. So I'm going to kind of bring that down a little bit. Let's tweak the index as well on the red. I think we could get this looking a lot better. Yeah, maybe somewhere around 6. And then I also kind of want the star to look dirtier. As I'm looking at this more and more, I just really like the grunginess of the star. Awesome. And we can actually add a texture here for the amount as well. So why don't we try using something cool like a let's use a dirt texture. Okay, and what the dirt is going to do is it's going to be able to find the edges, and we can see it easier sometimes if we invert and then pull some of this back. Bring up the details and the strength. Okay, so you can start to see it working. I know it's hard to see, but it'll kind of work on the edges and retain some of that on the edge. Alright, we're looking pretty good here. I'm going to make some final tweaks. I'm going to pause the video and try to align the radial texture, and then I'll be right back and we'll kind of go over and do final touches. Alright, so let's do some tweaking. I tried to move around our radial texture here, but it's just probably the way we UV'd it, but we got it working. But I would usually do something like this and project it on in Mari. It makes it a lot easier, but I don't have my license on this system, so kind of sad that I can't show anything Mari related. But let's go ahead and bring our aperture up, and then we'll probably go to 1.8 or so, and then we can middle click, control middle click, and focus on any part of this image that we want. So I'm thinking maybe around here, maybe bring that up to 2. We got some nice depth of field, and then let's go ahead to our aperture edge and pipe that up to 2, so we get some really nice depth of field look. And let's also play around with our camera imager. This is the first time I actually had looked at this, or actually kind of went through and used this guy here. So it's nice because you can kind of bring up and down your lights, so you don't have to go through every light and tweak. So it'd be nice if we like maybe brought this down like a half a step and then came up to our main light and oh sorry, not our main light, our kind of window light, and maybe pipe that up just a bit. Okay, so we get kind of a better look there. And let's do some of this post-processing stuff. Let's go ahead and bring up the glare and maybe the bloom. Start playing with some of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, and then we have the glare angle and the blur. So I think a little is enough. for something like this. And then it's nice to have that bloom too. It really kind of makes it look a little more metallic like. And then maybe we come over to our imager and then again kind of tweak a little more. Maybe add some more vignette to it. So it's really fun to just kind of get lost here in Octane and create some of these different looks. I think that's pretty good though. Let's go ahead and get our settings for our final render pass. So I'll change this to Octane. Of course, we will turn on our multi-pass and our post effects. If you forget to add the post effects, when you actually come to the render passes and start checking this on, it will give you a warning and it'll tell you that you need to have that, and it'll automatically put it in there for you. Okay, so I'm just going to add one more AO pass and then enable this in EXR. My compression, I usually choose zip and then 16-bit. Okay, so then we choose a destination to save it out, and there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and change the output to 1920 by 1080. And then maybe reposition our camera since it's changed our ratio a little bit. Okay, and remember the red line right here is going to be where it cuts off in our actual live viewer. So let's control middle click, get our focus back. Okay, and I'll make a quick save and then we'll render. Alright, in 2 minutes and 9 seconds we have a pretty awesome looking render, and the depth of field and everything makes it really feel organic and real. So I'm digging it. I like it. Hope you guys like it too, because I will be posting this scene file on Gumroad for 99 cents, and if you would like to download it and check it out, it would be greatly appreciated. I think you would appreciate your own favorites to yourself, because maybe there was some things that I had not covered quite so well, and for the price of a stick of bubblegum you can check it out. So thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Please comment, subscribe, and check out the channel for some more stuff. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and as always, we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much and take care.